James Bell of the Boxing Source here with another video. And this video here is to talk about the featherweight division and the WBO featherweight champion Shakur Stevenson. Yes, Shakur Stevenson was scheduled to have a bout at the theater at Madison Square Garden against Miguel Mariaga on March 14th, but that fight had been canceled due to the whole coronavirus epidemic that has been going on that pretty much shut down Madison Square Garden and New York. But a recent article that has come up through Keith Idec, Shakur Stevenson talked about Mr. Gary Russell Jr. and he basically gives respect to Mr. Gary Russell Jr. and says that, Russell ain't no punk and that he's, not ducking him. He says like Gary ain't no punk. He ain't one of them fighters that'll duck people. Gary knows me a lot. We didn't come up together. I came up under him, but I've been in his gym. As far as brother all the time. And me and him have been in the same gym. That they've been, going back and forth and, a possibility of them fighting each other. And that has been, within a, possibility. Because you have, Shakur Stevenson as a WBO featherweight champion and Mr. Gary Russell Jr. as a long reigning WBC featherweight champion of the world. And, with Shakur Stevenson, being from around the area in Alexandria, Virginia, and Mr. Gary Russell Jr. being from Capitol Heights, Maryland, they basically have been familiar with each other for a good amount of time. So while the possibility of them fighting each other may not seem likely to some, it's something that they say that even though they have a lot of respect for each other, they're willing to make it happen. We've had Mr. Gary Russell Jr. on this channel and on the Boxing Source podcast, where he talks about potentially fighting Shakur Stevenson down the line. And of course, we know over the course of the past few months before things kind of like went down, that Shakur Stevenson was pretty much in line to fight Josh Warrington to have the unification for the IBF and WBO featherweight titles, but with Josh Warrington making the decision to sign with Matchroom Boxing, that basically nixed the unification bout for the time being, and it seems like Josh Warrington is going to fight Can Xu to have that as a unification bout. As the plan is, they may have Can Xu elevated from regular champion to super champion for the WBA. So that leaves Shakur Stevenson not with a unification fight there with Josh Warrington. So the possibility of him fighting Gary Russell Jr. is in the cards. But Shakur Stevenson being there as a WBO featherweight champion, he says that he would be open to fighting Gary Russell Jr. He did refer to Gary Russell Jr. as a big brother to him. So that's something that they have, a level of respect with each other in reference to all of that. But that is one side. The other side, we may see what goes on with the other side. I may try to get in contact with Mr. Gary Russell Jr. in reference to this particular topic to see what his response would be in reference to this thing here by Shakur Stevenson. So we're going to get a little bit more about this here in the next few days or so. But for the time being, you could subscribe to this channel or tune into the Boxing Source radio show that's usually Sundays at 7:30 on Blog Talk Radio. Or you could catch the podcast on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. On that note, folks, I'm out. Peace.